She's a part dinosaur. Alright guys, well we're back with the 2RZ swap. So we've actually made a lot of progress. In today's video, our goal is to get it to turn on. We're going to get you guys up to date on this. So one of the big things we have to do is we attacked our oil pan with a 5-pound sledge just to get it to clear. But we now have plenty of clearance. The way to go about this without using a sledge would be to just notch this little brace right here. The factory one's just like this, and you would just add a notch here, but I decided to use violence that day and kind of just made it work. Then after that, we built our exhaust. We have our downpipe ran and everything. We did 3-inch all the way out. As of right now, our muffler's still not in, but we'll get that attached probably before Toyotafest. We also relocated our battery. This is actually our battery cables right here. We did 2 gauge all the way to the battery up top in the bed. Then we went straight to our starter over here and bridged everything. We also did our fuel lines. We adapted it to AN. So we just cut the line, put a flare in it, and adapted it over to a -6 AN, all the way to the fuel rail and all the way to our fuel pressure regulator. But it works pretty slick. We're currently on a stock fuel pump. Eventually we do plan on upgrading, but we are kind of on a time crunch right now. So we're gonna lower the car down now and show you guys a few things in the engine bay of what we did. We'll show you guys the fuel lines, how we routed all that, but it came out pretty slick. But yeah, you know, we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, and honestly I think this turned out great. So hopefully she turns on today, guys, because I'm I'm waiting for it. That is one sexy looking engine bay. All right, so this is what we got going on. So we mounted our catch can over here. We welded on some AN fittings. That way it just looks clean. We have all our intercooler piping routed. On these 2RZs, people typically do like the 180 bend here and shoot to the intercooler over here. I thought it was kind of ugly, so I decided to try this out. Maybe it'll work, but honestly I have no runtime on this, so this is just kind of something I thought up of. So then after that, this is our AN fittings, how we adapted the whole thing. We went right to the fuel pressure regulator. Then there's an AN fitting back here. It just goes straight to a banjo to a -6, connects the whole system. Then on the factory 22REs, the exhaust actually sits on this side. On the 2RZ, it's on the passenger side, so we did have to make some clearance. We added some heat resistant stuff just so we don't end up boiling anything on accident. Then this is our power outer. This is our turbo. It's a GT35, so it's like a 58 millimeter range. This should give us some good power. I've never actually ran this brand turbo before. It's a Pulse Air. I heard a lot of good things about them for how cheap they are. Maybe down the road we'll go with something like a comp turbo, but as of right now we'll see if this works and kind of go from there. We do have a HKS blow-off valve. I've heard a lot of cars with this and they all sound amazing, so hopefully this thing sounds good. So all the mounts I had made on the other Toyota pickup I had made this swap super easy. Our intercooler just bolts right on now. We had all our piping already made for that. Same with the radiator. All that just transferred right in, super slick. We did use a universal hose right here. Hopefully that doesn't cause any restriction, but it should be fine. We converted to a E-fan instead of a clutch fan. That way we can try to get the temps down. This is going to be like a track car, so we are going to put this thing to some abuse. And we did end up spraying the engine bay black. We did do a few little things, that way we can, you know, make the engine bay look more presentable for Toyotafest. I relocated the fuse box right underneath the air intake. So it kind of just disappears now. There's no like real wiring here. Maybe down the road we'll work on a little bit more, but again, this is kind of a track car, so we do want to have some stuff exposed, like all this. I could have hit it a bit better, but I think for functionality, this is perfect. All right, so this is the wiring harness. I honestly don't know too much about this. So I'm actually gonna have Justin come up and he's gonna explain to you what this whole thing does. He's gonna give you the whole rundown on this. So here's Justin.
All right, guys, I'm gonna hop out from behind the camera for a minute to go over this. I actually have haul tech on 2 of my cars, and I've actually been over at the shop, kind of where Gabe puts everything. These harnesses are all put together in-house by his team. They're top-notch guys. They do a lot of really good wiring stuff all through every kind of Toyota model, even custom applications. I've seen them do a lot of stuff. Gabe takes a lot of care in the quality of the harness. So every single one of these harnesses actually comes with all new connectors. So those brittle Toyota connectors that kind of fail after 20 years are all replaced. And so this full drop-in application kind of solves all the issues when you're kind of adapting a 20, 30-year-old Toyota to this new setup. And other things that he comes in, it does come with fuses and relays set up for the parts that you actually need to have set up for this, because some of the old wiring isn't really set up for this modern ECU application. And then there's some other things that the sensors just don't have. So when you switch over to Haltech, you have to run an intake air temperature sensor. And so Gabe actually builds that into the harness. So that's one less thing you have to worry about when you're going over a full install. And that's just one of those things you get with your kit. Gabe also does provide instructions, as well as lots of informative stuff on there. You can even call his shop if you have any questions. But these custom harnesses that he makes make this swap absolute dream. You can kind of just go in, drop it in, and turn the car on. And then Gabe also sent over an IC7 that we're going to be throwing in the car as well. And so with the IC7, that solves a lot of the other issues of having to adapt the actual dash to fit all these different types of sensors, different motor, all these things. So the IC7 actually gets the information directly from the ECU. So if your sensors have information coming from this harness, they make it to your ECU, you can then send it out to your dash. So yeah, this kit from S&P makes everything super easy. So I just wanted to hop in and kind of go over some of those things, and then we're going to go throw this harness in the car and get it started.
All right, guys, so like Justin said, the only thing we really need to adapt on here is our air temperature sensor. So we actually drilled and tapped some threads right here. So this is just going to slide right in here. Just like that. So now we're just going to tighten this up and start feeding our wiring harness. We actually harvest the factory grommet on the 22RE stuff, and so now we're gonna put this onto our new wiring harness. That way it looks all factory. So let's get to it. All right, so now we're gonna start feeding this through the firewall. So we're just gonna lay our engine harness over here. And then first we're gonna start off with the relays. That seems like the bulkiest part of the whole deal. All right, and now our grommet's just gonna sit right there. We're gonna wait to actually install that until everything's plugged in. So we're going off the instructions. So then it basically says just start running the wiring through this side of the manifold. So let's get to that. All right, so we're gonna keep routing this through here. This is my coil pack connector. And let's see, so we're gonna route this over here. Some injector wiring, so I think this has to feed in through here. All right, so our ECU is now mounted. So now we're just plugging everything up. This is the O2 sensor for the wideband. this is our wideband controller, and then this connects straight to the CAN bus system. So now we just have a few other things to connect. Let's see, this one would be our key power, which we have it right here. Connect this. All right. Then now we just got to connect our main plug up here. All right. So now I just have to go in the engine bay and feed the vacuum line for our map sensor. All right, so now we're just connecting our vacuum line straight to our map sensor. Should be good to go. So I think it's time. We're gonna see if it turns on, and hopefully we're all good to go, guys. First time ever doing a standalone. Luckily I have Justin here kind of helping me. He's done one before, and having somebody to help you out is the move, guys. And we actually still have ground. With the bolt? It's ground. All right, guys, moment of truth. We're on the phone with Gabe. Figured out our issue. Let's see if she turns on. Oh, we got something. Oh, fuel pump. All right, she's on. She's running. All right. Yeah. All right, guys, so the truck now runs. Still got to get some tuning done and, you know, kind of figure out some stuff here and there. But that's a win for today, guys. Peace.